Hello and welcome back. Maria here again with you today. So in today's video I want to talk about surviving from narcissistic abuse. And there are very common feelings that you are likely to be feeling at this stage and possibly at other stages. So I want to cover three of them today, and one of them I'm going to start with is about forgiveness and not being ready to forgive. And I must point out here that there are two stages or types of forgiveness. One, of course, is forgiveness for yourself, and one is forgiveness for the narc. But I think that comes a very long way down the road of recovery. And for some people, they may never reach the stage where they are able to fully forgive. And that's okay. I think it's possible, and I know people who have, but I also know that people have also said no way. So I think that when you're fresh out of the relationship, however, the last thing you need to be thinking about at this stage is forgiveness of the narc. But I'm totally on board with you wanting to forgive yourself, because it's really important. So I'll be talking about that a little bit more later. The next thing I'm going to talk about is fear of trusting anyone ever again, because you're going to be hyper aware of red flags and you'll be in that scary place where you just seem to see narcs everywhere. So the first one I'm going to obviously focus on is forgiveness of self, because that's all we're interested in right now. So when the time is right and you're ready and you started thinking clearly again, your absolute first priority to yourself must be to forgive yourself, because you'll undoubtedly have a million thoughts running through your head saying, how could I have been so stupid? Okay? You'll be saying things like, why didn't I see it sooner? Why did I put up with it for so long? What's wrong with me? Why didn't I spot the red flags? And possibly worst of all, why didn't I trust my gut when I knew something was off way back when? That one can be such a killer. Now you can drive yourself mad with all this, and frankly, you've had enough of being driven mad, and what you need now is some respite from all of that. So I'm going to give you a very short way to begin taking that step, okay? So I want you to get yourself settled. Just sit down somewhere. Wherever you are now watching this video, you can do it. You can listen to what I say, and then you can pause the video. Or you can pause it because it's not live. Okay? So you're going to sit down, you're going to be somewhere quiet and peaceful, you're going to take a few deep breaths, you're going to relax, and you're going to tune into your emotions. You're going to acknowledge them as they come up, and then you're going to say, okay, I accept that. This emotion that you're feeling right now, in any given moment, is part of your reality. So it's really important to accept it. So then my next little tip is to ask yourself if it's doing you any good to feel bad, or to punish yourself, or to beat yourself up about it. And just ask yourself, are you able to let that emotion go? That right here in me now emotion, are you able to let it go? And if you are, just release it. Let it go. Tell it to leave you. Tell it that you no longer need it. Now you can imagine this letting go and releasing in any way that makes sense to you. Just feel the sense of release when you do this. And then immediately you do that. Reach for a better feeling to replace the one that's just left you. Recall something wonderful that you know to be true about you, and focus fully on that for a few minutes. Okay? So just do that. Now, if you're not ready to forgive yourself, because you might not be. Accept that too. Just say, okay, right now I'm not quite ready to forgive me, but I'm going to plant and water that seed. Okay? So when you've done those two things, so you've let it go, you've focused on something good about yourself, then you just go and say to yourself, okay, I forgive me. Or, okay, I will forgive me soon. I made a big mistake. It was not my fault. I accept that. I'm human and I've paid for that mistake. Now it's time to forgive me. Or now it's time to water the seed of forgiving myself. I will be ready for that soon. So just do that. Go over this process until you really feel an inner shift. Because it's so important that you do this for yourself. And forget about forgiving the narc from right now, because you're a long way off from being able to do that. But this, as I said, is just the beginning of planting a seed of forgiveness within you. And there will be much, much more work to do at a deeper level later on. But by doing this now, you're acknowledging that forgiving is a critical component in your key to full recovery. So I want you to really, really think about that. Go back over this video later, and even if you just focus on this one particular part and sit and do that exercise, it's really, really important that you do it. Okay, so now let's see what else. Okay, so we've got, next up is fear of trusting anyone, which is totally, totally understandable. You're afraid to trust anyone ever again. Who can blame you? You trusted this narc and you gave him your heart and your soul, and he crushed you. He betrayed you, and it feels brutal. So you're terrified. You just don't want to ever be in that position again. And all this is understandable. This is like self-protection mechanism kicking in now. But learning to trust yourself can happen, and it will happen, but it will take time. But you need to give yourself time to be back in the normal world with normal people. Because when you do, what happens is your natural instincts start to flourish again, and it kind of allows you to recalibrate to who you were before all this awful stuff happened. What you should also do is spend as much time as you can with your safe people in the early days, and gradually allow your horizons to expand so that you start to meet new people again. Because you don't want to live in isolation, which is another thing. Isolation is another stage or phase people can go through, and I will talk about that another time. But you just need to come back into your own sensibilities, because you know that not everyone is a narc. You know it. But you're also going to be much, much wiser and very, very quickly able to spot the red flags in future if they do occur, and then you'll very, very swiftly turn in the other direction and run. So just give yourself time to know that you can trust in the future and you'll be okay. You know so much more now than you did before. If you think back over your relationship, especially in those early golden days, you'll probably remember that your gut instinct often told you that something was wrong, but you were on such a high in this new love bombing phase that you chose to ignore the warning signs. So you just knew it at a gut level. So now know better than ever that trusting your gut is vital, and as you go forward, you'll never forget this. You'll heed it as your radar is sharper now than it's ever been before. So just remember that, okay? So I was going to talk about triggers, but I've actually decided I'm going to talk about triggers in a separate video, because I think it's quite an important one. And not that everything else isn't important, but I've just decided for this one I'm going to end this one here, and I'll talk about triggers in a separate one, okay? So I hope you've enjoyed watching this one today and you found the information useful, and please think about it and just do those little exercises and start applying them, because all these little things done consistency will make a big difference. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you very soon for the next video. So thanks again, and bye for now.